All right, let's dive in. Today, we are tackling one of the biggest headaches in any fast-paced company: constant, dizzying change. We're going to talk about how to transform that chaos into a culture that's not just surviving, but actually thriving. Not by running from change, but by getting really, really good at it. And the stakes here could not be higher. Get this, a massive 90% of employees say they feel stressed at work. And that's not just, oh, I'm busy stress. This is a full-on crisis of burnout that is quietly killing your team's creativity and drive. And that's exactly what we're here to fix. I want you to picture this. It's 3 p.m. on a Wednesday. Let's call her Sarah, an engineering manager. She is absolutely drowning. Slack is blowing up with pings from 3 different stakeholders. Her team is completely blocked waiting on her. And her calendar, well, it just looks like a solid block of color. This isn't just a bad day. For so many leaders, this is the day, every day. It's classic decision fatigue, and it's where good projects and good teams go to stall out. So, what's really going on here? I mean, it's so easy to blame the constant pivots, right? The shifting priorities. But here's the truth. Change is the one thing that's guaranteed. It's inevitable. The real problem isn't the change itself, it's that most of us don't have a system to actually manage it. So let's reframe this whole thing. This quote, this just hits the nail on the head. Your teams are smart, they're resilient, they can handle a pivot. What they can't handle is confusion. When a major shift gets announced in a random Slack thread or buried in meeting notes, nobody knows what's actually important anymore. That confusion, that lack of clarity, that's the true enemy of productivity. And the cost of all this chaos is, well, it's just staggering. We're not talking about small stuff here. I mean, look at these numbers. 58% of IT workers feel overwhelmed. That's over half of your core technical talent basically running on fumes. 44% are thinking about quitting because of it. And for our remote folks, burnout is a whopping 69%. This isn't just about morale. This is a direct hit to your talent pipeline and your bottom line. So how do we start to fix this? Okay, I want you to think like an ER doctor for a second. When a dozen patients all come in at once, the doctor doesn't just start with the first person who walked in the door, right? No way. They perform triage. They quickly assess who's critical, who's stable, and who can wait. As a leader, your job is exactly the same. You have to triage all the incoming work to save the patient, which is your project, your team's focus, and your company's goals. And to do that kind of triage effectively, you need a toolkit. A set of simple but really powerful frameworks that let you cut through all the noise and make confident decisions even when you're under massive pressure. And these aren't some complicated academic theories. They're practical tools you can start using, like today. The foundation of this whole toolkit starts right here, with this one simple idea: understanding the massive difference between what's urgent and what's important. Urgent tasks are loud. They scream for your attention right now. They're the ringing phone, the notification badge. Important tasks, on the other hand, they're quiet. They're the strategic work that actually moves the needle on your biggest goals. And here's the secret. What's urgent is very rarely important, and what's truly important is rarely urgent. So our first tool uses this exact idea. It's the Eisenhower Matrix. It helps you sort every single task into one of 4 buckets. Quadrant 1, do, is for genuine crises, the stuff that's both urgent and important. Quadrant 2, schedule, is the magic quadrant. This is your strategic work. It's important, but not urgent. This is where you should be spending most of your time. Quadrant 3, delegate, is for things that are urgent, but not that important, stuff someone else can handle. And finally, Quadrant 4, delete, is for all the noise. Just get rid of it. Okay, but sometimes you don't have time for a 4-quadrant matrix. Sometimes the building is metaphorically on fire. For that kind of rapid-fire triage, you need the 2-bucket system. It's beautifully simple. Bucket 1, must ship now. This is anything directly hurting a customer, losing you money, or blocking your team. Bucket 2, can wait. This is literally everything else. It might be important, but it's not a crisis. This sort takes minutes, and it can save you days of chaos. And let's add one last mental model to help guide your choices here. The good old 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto Principle. It basically says that 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your effort. So your job as a leader is to constantly ask your team and yourself, what is the 20% of work that will give us the biggest bang for our buck? Focus all your best energy right there. Okay, having the right frameworks is a game changer.
But a big pivot, it isn't just a logistical problem on a project board, it's a human problem. So let's talk about how you lead your people through the whiplash of constant change without totally crushing their morale. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? Just telling your team, hey, stop what you're doing and switch to this instead, that feels abrupt. It feels dismissive. It makes them feel like the work they were just pouring their hearts into didn't matter. But when you explain why, when you say, look, we just got this crucial customer insight, or the market just shifted, you're not giving a command, you're building alignment. You're bringing them along on the journey with you. And for those really tough conversations, like when you have to say no or communicate a really sharp turn, here is an incredible tool. It's called the GRACE method. First, graciously acknowledge the request. Then, give the strategic reason for the new direction. Offer alternative solutions if you can. Provide clear next steps so no one is left guessing. And always, always show empathy. This turns what could be a conflict into a collaborative strategic conversation. It's a superpower.
And that brings us to something that is so vital but so often overlooked. You have to acknowledge the human cost of all this. Change is exhausting. It is perfectly fine, in fact it's necessary, to just say to your team, hey, I know this is frustrating, I know you're tired of the plan changing, thank you for being so adaptable. Recognizing that burnout and validating their feelings doesn't make you a weak leader. It makes you a human leader. It's how you build real, lasting trust. All right, let's get super tactical. The next time a sudden, out-of-the-blue pivot happens, you need a playbook. A checklist you can just pull out to manage the moment with total clarity and calm, instead of panic. Okay, this is your screenshot moment. Here's your 5-step emergency plan. 1. Acknowledge the shift immediately. Don't let rumors or confusion start to bubble up. 2. Clarify what matters now. Use that must-ship now bucket to get everyone focused. 3. Update the single source of truth, the project board, the roadmap, wherever the official plan lives. 4. Explain the why. We just talked about how crucial that is. And 5. Check in with the team. Ask them how they're doing. Acknowledge the disruption. This simple checklist turns pure chaos into a controlled, manageable pivot. So we've talked a lot about managing the crisis in the moment. But, the ultimate goal here isn't just to get better at firefighting. It's to build a resilient culture where these pivots don't feel like a 5-alarm fire in the first place. It's about moving from crisis management to real, sustainable stability. And let's be crystal clear. This is a business imperative. This is not a soft skill. Look at the real, measurable costs of not having these boundaries. When priorities are unclear, projects take almost 25% longer to finish. You see a 40% spike in turnover because people are burned out. And the financial hit? It can cost you up to $75,000 to replace just one skilled employee. Building a resilient culture isn't a nice to have, it's a core business strategy. And true resilience doesn't just come from the top down. It actually bubbles up from the team itself. And that only happens when you create something called psychological safety. All that means is creating an environment where people feel safe to speak up, to challenge an idea, to admit a mistake, or even to say no without being afraid they'll be punished for it. When your team feels safe enough to push back, that's when you know your culture is truly strong. Ultimately, it really all comes down to this balance. A truly strategic leader is like a great chess player. They aren't just focused on the next move. They're thinking 3, 4, 5 moves ahead. They understand that winning isn't just about capturing the next piece on the board. It's about protecting your most valuable assets, your people, so you can stay in the game for the long haul. It's that artful balance between today's urgent needs and the long-term health of your team. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. The next time a fire drill starts, when the priorities inevitably shift again, are you just going to be managing chaos? Or are you going to use these tools and this mindset to actively build a stronger, more focused, and more resilient team? The choice and the opportunity is all yours.